So, welcome everyone. And um, so, just a quick the information that I want to give you all that because of little emergency from our teacher who had done the demystifying class, she couldn't join us because of an emergency. And but we have someone with us who can actually guide you very well because she has a real time experience for getting her child into a prestigious grammar school of St. Olive's. And that's Suneetha for us. Hello, Suneetha.
Hello, everyone.
Yes. So the presentation and the overall structure is by our student advisory guide who has done it for us. So all the information will be intact and be available. And also the recording of this session will be available for everyone. Okay, so please let us know. Just if few of you can let us know that you can hear us, you can see us clearly, because for next 50 minutes you're going to watch us and make as much notes as you can. So please, let's, if someone can just give us because we cannot see you guys, but if you can just message in the chat that everything is okay. Thank you. Thank you, so Sujay. Okay, good. So, all right. So we will start off. And basically, this today's session is our 11 plus Inspire series, which is the continuation or part two of the demystifying 11 plus that we have done in October, early October, when we found that choosing a school is also something which every parent who is new to 11 plus or someone who is already knows about 11 plus but needs a kind of hand holding on few questions, for them this webinar is more applicable or suitable. So choosing a school. And so Sunita, quick few questions that I would like to ask, if you could help our parents. And so what are the areas that a parent should look into when applying for a grammar school? What are the areas basically that they have to look into?
Uh, yes, Deepa, thank you for giving this opportunity first. And then, if you're the area, if you are thinking of which looking into applying for your kid, first I would say look at your local authorities website and look and see that see the criteria of the schools of your choice, like the distance from your house, and make sure that it's a maximum of 90 minutes from your
Mhm.
home. and
Yes.
and also, if you want more advice, you can actually every time speak to your school primary school teacher, and
Hmm.
also to the local parents, like if the kids are going to a grammar school or they're going to a different grammar school. But
Hmm.
still, it's always advisable to talk to them in your local authority.
Right. And I remember about the virtual tours that you were mentioning, that the schools do virtual tours as well. So,
Yeah, true. Like every time you have an open day with all the schools,
mhm.
after you have shortlisted the schools, like which schools you wanted to send them, because
Yeah.
most of the times the schools that we choose and we always think it's a better school for our kid, maybe you or your kid might not like it. So it's always a good idea to go to the school for the open days and go through the virtual tour and talk to the teachers and the students there. And then you get a good opportunity to decide whether you actually want your son to study there
Okay.
or your
And
the kid.
right. And how many schools should a parent look into? Because there's
When
so
you
many options out there, like maybe there are around nearly 117, 197 or 200 grammar schools. So how many schools should a parent look into?
Actually, I would say stick to 6 to 8 or to your, because most of the councils will give you a chance to apply around 6 to 8 schools in your CAF form.
Yeah. So
So,
that will give you enough space.
yeah, yeah. So always keep an idea about, like, keep in your choice like 6 to 8 of the schools. You should include your local authority schools in it first,
Hmm.
importantly. And if you have any other schools which are really good and you would like your son to go, so look at those schools also, and go for their criteria and look at their websites. And if you still like it, keep in your mind like that choice of 6 schools. And always it's good to keep one comprehensive school which is not a grammar school, So it's always
Absolutely.
advisable to keep in your mind all the six schools so that you don't have at the end, like you don't see, because almost when we are applying for a 2 years, all our journey we do it, and the end you'll see a surprises that you might like completely a different school. So
Correct.
you
That's a very good point.
yeah, you should be ready to face any situation. So always good advisable to keep 6 to 8 schools in your mind. Yeah.
Absolutely, because as the year passes and they know the child's abilities, then they will have a idea that what they had started off and where they can lead to is different. So it's always a good idea to have 6 to 8. Thank you.
Yes.
And Sunita was mentioning about son, because when children boys get into, but it's also girls. So girl or son or daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
I said. Like son, and then I said your kids. Yeah.
Yes. So should the parents check school admission policies? Or how how important it is for them to check the school admission policies?
I think one of the important criteria is look into the admission policy
Mm-hmm.
before even you start like preparing the kid for the grammar school. So because every school has their different admission criteria,
Yeah.
because some schools they are very particular about the catchment area, like
Right.
some don't consider, and even if you wanted to move to the local area in the later stages, some schools don't accept it. So it's always advisable to always look into the school admission policy,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to look for the catchment distance, and some schools have sibling priority, especially if you have same like a two boys or two girls. It was at you might have a sibling priority. So
Right.
if the first kid is getting into the school, and always we would like that the second child gets the 50, there are a lot of different criteria for the sibling priority, and
Okay.
11 plus score, and everything comes into the some schools do the like if any special needs kids are there, they give a
Hmm.
priority to them. So how many schools are there for the local authority, how many are there for the outside of the local authority? So it's better, always better to look into the school website for the policies of the school admission policy.
Perfect. So, those who have joined us a little late now, just a quick update on how the beginning of the session that we mentioned. Our teacher who was who was running through the session today was not available, but we are going through all the topics that she had covered. Due to the emergency, she could not attend, and so we are trying to do our best in terms of all the topics that she wanted to cover for you. But if you have any questions, leave it to the last 10 minutes. We will take up all of them. And and our special guest today is Suneetha. Just to reiterate, she has trained and coached her son, and with a little help of tuitions, and got into St. Olive's. So it's a hard work, but with the help and handhold of you parents, definitely the children can get there. But that's not the only end, is what also we want to mention. So we are so Sunita, you were now mentioning about the admission policies, and you wanted parents to be taking into consideration few dimensions that they need to put onto the plate before they decide, isn't it? Like the distance, the siblings, all these things. So, parents, remember, this is this time for the next 40 minutes that we are with you. Please start making a note of what are the things which make most of your decisions, which will help to make most of your decisions. To like the distance from where you live, or is it siblings is a criteria for you, the catchment area, whatever is being discussed, just add those into your plate so that you can take an informed decision. And there is no hard and fast formula for it. Every child is different, and every house situations are different. So one of the points that you just mentioned was the admission policies, school admission policies, which covers the catchment area, the distance, and the siblings priority, and
And the
what
11 plus
else?
score as well, 11 plus
Well,
score also, because
right.
end of
With
the day,
this, I
what's
want to
the
ask you if 11 plus score matters. So, when do they actually get the last chance to decide? When do the parents get the final chance to decide that which schools they want in the priority? When is the time in this?
um like because due to the COVID situation now, most of the exams you have, most of the councils are asking you to fill in the CAF form, which is a
Hmm.
common application form, or the SIF form, whatever in that county called it. But actually, if your results are coming after the filling of the application form,
Hmm.
then it's up to your, I mean, your decision, like where your kid stands, how far
Okay.
he gets it. But
But
usually, most of
normally,
the times,
yeah.
what happens is you get most of the results by then, and you know that which school they get in. So always advisable to choose. Again, you have to check the admission policy and then decide which school is better and which school you have a scope of getting into it, depending on the
Hmm.
child's score. Then it is more
Absolutely.
easier.
Correct.
It will be
Correct.
more
So,
easier after the results have come.
I'm also noting it down so that I can revise for you. So because Sunita, that's a very good point that 11 plus score and how your child is doing always matters, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just for
Yes.
aiming for every the best school,
Yes.
and it personally matters how your child has scored or how they are performing.
Yes,
Okay, so
because
what's
some kids are really good in subject wise, like, verbal, non-verbal, English and maths. So some schools does non-verbal and verbal too. So if
hmm,
your kid is very good in verbal and non-verbal and English and maths, obviously we concentrate more on English and maths. Then you have a lot of options, like, whether to choose that school or not. And if they're not doing good in one of the subject, then go for the second option school where your kid is very good in those subjects where you can score more marks. So it will be a
hmm,
bit easier for you to decide.
nice. Okay, and what subjects do these the schools offer? Like what subjects do they offer? Like
uh,
like
like,
extracurricular.
yeah, extracurricular activities, depending on when they go to secondary school, it's completely different. From my understanding is almost all the secondary schools does a really good extracurricular activities. They give a lot of importance for the sports. So it's
Hmm,
not like primary what we see here, but
hmm,
secondary is completely into sports. So if you are really interested into the extracurricular activities, I would say it is always advisable for you to go to the school website and check the email
hmm,
properly.
hmm.
And then, yeah,
Okay.
1 minute.
Okay. So, so the subject that the school offers is important as well. Sorry, I think for Sunita is having some technical difficulty, but she's joining us. She's still on the call. Okay, so right, and while 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 she comes back, if possible, all your questions kindly drop it into the chat, which is a Q&A. Chat is disabled, is it? I think there's a Q&A option as well. Can everyone see that? What is comprehensive school? Aarti has asked it. So can everyone see a option of schools? Sorry, chat. Right. Okay. So and talking about the subjects that you need to consider onto the website of the school, you can clearly get an idea about what are the focus subjects that the particular school that you're looking into is considering. It's very important for the extracurricular activities if you're considering, or find out what GCSEs they have available, because the child is going to be in the same school for the GCSE as well. So check out on that, and look into the A levels that are available on the school website. Do not be deviated much by, because the internet is so much overwhelmed and overloaded with information. Okay, so yes, we
Sorry,
have
Deepa, back actually.
no worries. Okay, so we were just reiterating on you what you just mentioned about the subjects.
Yeah.
So what
So
subjects they should look in.
there are different criteria. It depends on the parents. Like, some parents want extracurricular activities. So it's always better, like, go to the website of the school and look what they are good at and see their A level results. What are the subjects they are good at? And whether you like and your kid like to choose those subjects. Like, always, it's advisable to look at these informations are all available on your choice of school websites.
Yes, yes.
So
And
you got more options to decide.
right. So now after the subjects and after the 11 plus score and after the distance from where you live, now my question, most common question is, how do I even know which schools are good? Like, should I look, should the parents look into any Ofsted reports or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. Like always, if you wanted to know which school is good for your school, I mean, for your kids, always there are a lot of websites like you can go through.
Mm-hmm.
There is also a service available, but most of us don't know about it. Like they from the local authority, they provide you a service where they advise the parents, like a private help. It's not something that anyone get go for it, but you can
Mm,
actually ask your local authority about the admission process. And if you're completely new and you don't know and you have any clue about it, then you can always take an advice from your local authority. And
right.
also you can actually talk to your class teacher, the primary school class teachers.
Is
They
it?
are
Okay.
really good and they're really supportive at the point when the kids come to the year 6. They repeatedly send you the information packs and they said that which is the locally, which is the good school for the kids to go. They give you the grammar schools and the comprehensive schools which are nearby, like, very, which are good. And so it's always advisable talk to your school advisory board. Yeah, they do help you a lot.
Okay. And you have used it as well, isn't it? The council,
Uh,
talking to the council and knowing the information.
yeah. Always the council is helpful. Even if you don't hire a local authority, like, you can always call them, and then they give you a lot of information. They are very, I mean, very, very supportive at this point to the parents. At least personally, I felt it, because whatever doubt you do, sometimes it looks really silly, like, what's the question that we are asking them, but they don't take it like that. They're really serious and they just comfort you and tell you everything what you needed to know.
Okay. So, parents, like, remember that you're not alone in this journey. Many have done that, many have been there, so you can too. But just don't feel shy to ask. Just ask, call the local council. Is that so? That what you mentioned, Sunita, is a council?
Yeah,
Yeah.
council as well. Just call
Local
the local
council,
number. Yeah.
the
Or
local
if
number.
you are applying to your any places outside your council as well, you can speak
Hmm.
to them as well. I mean, call the school directly or call those authorities and ask them. But mostly, end of the day, it depends on the authority, that local council authority which you live in. So you have to consider their advice more compared
Okay.
to the other. Yeah.
Okay. And so the Ofsted reports. So where do the parents look for that?
You can go for the school website. You have the
Okay.
previous Ofsted reports and you can compare them and see them. And you can even go for the when you Google it also, you'll get a lot of the league tables, like, where is the Ofsted reports of the schools, good school
Right.
advisors and everywhere.
That's good. So the league tables is one more thing, parents, that you need to remember. The league tables, which gives you a general idea about each school, how the school is performing. So that's another thing that you need to consider, apart from the distance, the siblings, and your score. Keep a note on these points about how the school itself is performing. Okay, and what is so you have mentioned about the school choice advisors, right? Just now you're telling about the school choice advisors as well.
Mm.
So every school has it.
Yeah. Every school will actually, if you are going for a primary school, it's their responsibility to guide you also. The teachers will guide you in a very, I mean, they give you a guidance about the how to do the, including how to do the application form also, they will guide you.
Ah, that's fantastic.
That's they will
Okay.
really tell you like how to do the application. They'll send you the reminders. And then also, if you call that, if you can talk to their class teacher, because the class teachers would know the kids more than what we know, so they will advise you at the end point, like which school might be good
Nice.
for your kid also.
Okay. And should the parents put the child in a school that specializes in one subject or the overall growth?
Yeah, it depends completely on this parents and the student. And if they're really interested on one subject, like some
Yeah.
kids are really wanted to get into the doctor or any other profession they like. So if you prefer like that, then go to the, I mean, choose, make it a choice of school. But if not, if you wanted your child to give an overall option and make it wide open for them, because at this point of the stage, you don't know which kid, like sometimes they are very interested in science and later on they might not be finding it so interested. So it's
Yes.
always good to leave to the kid. But as a parent, you can judge a little bit, like which area you wanted your kid to go. But
So
I would say
overall
like
is also a good
overall is good,
option.
good option.
So
Like overall is good.
invest.
Of course, even though the kid, even though if you think like some schools are good in science, but they would always do both the subjects. So it's nothing
Okay,
wrong, because end of the day for the GCSEs and A levels, they have to do all the subjects. So they
correct.
would do all the subjects.
Okay. And I would also ask, like, should the parents look into the mixed schools or single gender schools? What do you think?
Yeah, it's completely up to the parent. Like
Yes.
there are like some schools do really good when they're mixed schools, but some schools do good when they're the separate gender.
So,
But
hmm,
it's completely up to the parents' choice. The only thing is, I think you have a very few choice when you come to the grammar schools. You have less choice for the mixed schools.
I see. So it depends on the availability of the school in your area. What is the schools and what they offer? Is it a which type of school it is? So it's not a total too many choices, if you
Yeah,
would say
if you
that.
say yeah, if you go for a grammar school, then you don't have much choice.
Okay. And it's not a problem if they're in a mixed school now to continue in a mixed school later. So it's okay to be in a mixed
Oh,
school.
yeah, yeah. Like some kids are very comfortable when they are in the mixed schools, Deepa. Like,
Hmm.
and some kids don't find it so easy for them to get along when they are in, because this is a very tender age, like, year 6 and year 7. That's a transformation time
Yeah.
where the parents and kids, we all see a lot of difference in our kids, and
Right.
they're along with the age, and then they're going to the different schools. So you see a lot of things. So you have to consider like, but if
So
you say grammar school, there are very few options for mixed schools.
okay, okay. So so it is more about how the child feels comfortable, and as a parent you feel comfortable.
You feel comfortable.
There's no rules as such for
No
that
rules.
as well.
No,
Okay.
that's completely
And
up to the school.
and some interesting question that we had from a parent recently, that should they pick up their school that friends are going to? How is
Yeah.
that? Should they pick up a school which their friends are going to?
I think that's a good option. Like, sometimes kids get, when year 6, especially in year 6, they get a lot of time to meet each other and know each other a bit. And so some people gets a very good bond.
Mm-hmm.
So when they go to the secondary school, they might not find it very completely everything is new. They already
Hmm.
have a friend there. So it
Hmm.
might be a comfortable situation. But along with that, you can say even if they are not that, they learn it to make new friends.
Right.
So
So it might
even for
be,
some, so
yeah.
even if there are from same schools, some schools have the policy like you can find out about this when you are applying. Like they say that they don't put this two kids from the same school into the same section. They might
Hmm.
separate them
Okay.
because
Okay.
they wanted to give them then exposure. Then don't want to form their own groups. So
Right. Right.
it's always some schools does it. So it's always when you go for an open day, you can talk
Hmm.
to them.
Okay, so it can be that initial phase of comfort that you can give to the child by having the friends join the same school. It'll help in
Yes.
the initial phase, but they have
Yes.
to face the reality. So it's still okay if they're not with their friends, but given a chance, it's not a bad idea to be with
Yeah,
their
it's
friends.
not a bad idea. Like, you can give it. Some
So
prefer to go.
maybe,
So there is no, I don't like, what I say is you don't need to stop anything. If the kid is interested in going to the same school, like as her friend goes or his friend goes, but the thing is, you need to let them know that your choice, the friendship is different from your interests. Okay. So
hmm,
her interest might be different, completely different from what is your interest, and your according to your family also. Because whenever you consider a grammar school, you have to look into all the points which it suits your priorities, your family, your
correct.
kid. So
Yes.
it might be different for the other kid. So you have to, when you think that, just don't go stick to one option. What I want to say is like,
Hmm.
what my friend is going, so I am going. in the initial stages it will look good, but later on you might not find it as good as a good choice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Like for example, for a shy child, it can be a good, smooth transition,
yeah,
but they have to hit the reality and have the skills they can interest. As you
yeah,
said, they have to be mentally prepared by the parents that interests can be different.
yes, true.
Okay. And now coming to how do the parents start to shortlist the schools in the area?
Yeah,
Is it good idea to just look out in the area that they live, or how do they start? Where do they start? Because now that we have spoken about so many topics now, to put into consideration, and
yeah.
then how do they start with? I mean, how do they start shortlisting?
Yeah, actually, as we were discussing earlier, Deepa, like, make it a choice of 6 to 8 school.
Hmm.
And because first important criteria would come the catchment and the 11
Yeah.
plus score. First
Yeah.
thing is they need to pass the 11 plus to keep that school as your choice. So your 11 plus score is important. And at the same time, the catchment area,
Hmm.
because even though your local authority don't have the good schools that like you prefer to go, it's
Hmm.
always a better option to keep it open for to look into the schools of the other areas, like near
Okay.
basically look where the traveling time should not be more than an hour or an hour and a half, like 90 minutes or so. Because
Okay.
the grammar schools, they do have homeworks, they do give so we have to prepare ourselves that it's not going to be the same as you see the kids in until year 6. So they are
Hmm.
going to have homeworks, they are going to have exams, they are going to compete with the kids, and they have extracurricular activities. So what I would suggest is, when you're making the short list of the schools,
Hmm.
keep in your mind that you have to keep your kid, see that the distance first, and then the catchment area, whether you sometimes what happens, we prefer, like we think, oh no, that school, that we can't get into that school. End of the time, when you get the results, you'll be surprised to see that if the schools that you decided you might not get into, you might get into that school. So never leave an opportunity. Keep everything in your mind, like this one and while you're shortlisting,
Hmm.
don't leave anything. At the same time, don't keep many choices open for you, like six to
Yeah.
eight like
Because you were also telling about the virtual tour visits or the visits.
Yeah,
So
they
that
do it.
time,
Yeah, sure.
that is also something they would know if that is good for the child, isn't it? There
True,
is an
Deepa.
idea that they get about which is good
Yes,
for the child.
because when you are looking for schools, everything looks like, oh, sometimes you feel like getting into this school is a dream. Like, this is the best school, and I
Yeah,
want
this is the
my
best
child
school. I
to
want to
go
get
to this
there.
school. I want to get there. But once you decide that this is what going to happen, and it's a future for another 5 to 7 years, that's when the point where your kid is now a little bit bigger to take the decision also. So
Hmm.
it's not completely in their hands, but it's better to give an option and give the importance for your kid's choice as well. So it's
Correct.
better you go to the school, have a tour, and decide like, oh, I want him to be here or the other
Hmm.
school. Because you
Right.
never know that you might be eligible for all the preferred schools. Like, if you are preferred, like for top, at least top 3 schools, what I would say is that you're shortlisted 6 to 8 schools. So at least go for the top 3 where you think that your child can get into. So go to the website and see what is important and what is important for yourself and your family and your kid. And you might have a sibling. So take all those into consideration, and then go to the virtual tour, and let the kid also be involved in all these when you're doing.
Yeah,
When you're
that was my next question. How much should we involve the child in this decision making?
Yeah, this is a bit sensitive matter, Deepa. Why? Because when I'm saying all this, like involve your child, that means don't give them 100% scope that you will get into it, so that if they don't get it into it, they might be not happy. So let them make their choice, like which school you like in your conversation, see through the website, go to the open tours, but don't give them, let them know that you might get into this school.
Aim
Even if
Adigono?
they don't get it,
Hmm.
it's okay. Like the other choice is also good. So
Right.
like don't involve them, and as a parent you would know whether he liked it or not. So don't make them to take a decision. It's up to the parent. Parents should have, and parents should know what is good for the kid, and they
Right.
should at the final decision should be the parents, but
Yes.
involving the kids is always a good idea.
Right. Okay. So because they are going to spend the next 7 years. Yeah.
7 years, 5 to 7 years. I think after five, if they want, they can try in other schools. But
Yes.
until 5 to 7 years, like,
Right. Okay. And because the happier they are, they'll feel more
yes,
supported as well, isn't it?
yes.
So parents
Because
remember that point.
end of the day, it's the kids, like, how happy they are in that school and how interested they are. Then only they can go through. Even if we think it's the best school for our kid, it might not be we might not think it's the best school for him.
Absolutely.
So,
So,
yeah,
so definitely considering, because you're making a wise choice, parents are making a wise choice by putting and attending this seminar and making so much of effort, investing their time and money into it. But always don't forget to involve that bit of the block of the puzzle to involve the child. And with the right proportion, you need to involve the child, isn't it? So that was what Sunita was trying to mention, that involve the child, uh, but tell them that why you are taking this certain decisions, and then also consider their inputs, because at the end of the day they are going to attend for rest of whatever time, 7 years. Okay. And one question which maybe everyone has not a clue yet, because they are going to attend it next year. What like the CAF form, the common application form, which actually decides, or decides a major part in this process. Can we take the next 10 minutes to actually go through it very nicely? Children, parents, make sure you ask your questions now, because for the last 15 minutes we can leave it to you to ask questions. So my question to you, Sunita, is, can you please walk through about, because you did mention that in the last month, that is after the exam that they have written, that's when they start filling the form of common application form. What is the priority or the order list that they need to consider while listing their schools? Is because I have read and I've heard parents saying, so many groups out there, so many Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, and articles and blogs about finding a logical way of writing a priority. But when I spoke to you, it felt like it's common. It's very, very comes back to you and your child. Can you please explain us so that the parents get the strength and the power to make an
yeah.
informed decision?
Yeah, in after talking all these 2 years, the end decision would be when you're filling in the cap, as you said, Deepa. Like
Yeah.
we go through everything and we think this is the best school and that's the best school, and your kid works hard and he gets into all these good schools that you wanted your child to be and he wanted to be. But end of the day, when you fill in like what is your first choice of school, that makes a difference. Like which school your child wants to go. So at this point, everything comes into the consideration. What we have spoken for the half an hour, all these things will come into consideration. We have to keep that in our point and make sure that whether you at this point you have to talk to the council first thing. Talk to the council and take their advice. What is if you keep this school as the first option, and depending on the score and the catchment distance, whether your child is going to get into that school or not, go to the website of the school, and after you get 100% of confirmation that yeah, my kid can get into this school, there are 50% or 100% or any chance, any priority of chances, keep that as your priority first
So
school.
you mean to say that it's the realistic view to the
Yes,
journey now, where
yes,
you're knowing it that you're going to get it or not. That's the realistic way. And the
yes,
best person to talk to is the local authority or the
yes.
school.
Go to the school website. You can even call the school,
Hmm.
and I would say like I myself, even though I knew that he gets into those schools, and I have a confidence that, but still I myself spoke to the schools directly and spoke to the council, And then I took a decision like, yeah, I know that he could get, but still I have taken all these into my consideration, like, whether if he gets, what's about my sibling, and whether it's good or not. And then again,
Right.
I've spoken to the second choice school, third choice school, and I would say go until the fourth choice and fifth choice schools and take a decision. But end of the day, it's up to the parent which school your kid you wanted to go. That should be
Right.
the first choice.
So,
So, but because if you get the first choice school, then
yeah.
the second, third will almost be cancelled. So
Okay.
in
Okay.
hierarchy, like if you, for example, you get the first choice, second choice, and third choice. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the first choice and second choice. Okay, and you got the third choice school,
Yeah.
your third choice school. Then the fourth and fifth are almost gone into the cancellation, and
Right.
but you have a chance of being in the waiting list for your first and second choice school.
Mm.
So
Absolutely.
you still got an opportunity then, even if he doesn't get in the first place, you
Hmm.
still have an opportunity for him to get in during March, maybe depends on the school, but it's in May, June, and December. So until December, you have a chances of getting.
Fantastic. So that gives the confidence that always go by your priority as the first, and
Yes,
then the school, and then it cascades down.
yes,
So so we have to have that 6 to 8 schools that you mentioned in the beginning is
yes,
applicable now in your research. What you have done gets implemented now, and it cascades down. And also make sure that you said that it goes to the waiting list of the
true.
first and second. Yeah.
Yes.
And you did mention about the school does not know which priorities that your child has given.
Yeah,
So,
but saying this, like, there is two different ways of saying that. Like, there is I mean, when you talk to the council will tell you, but when I spoke to the council, this is what I got. But
hmm,
you have to take this step. Don't never trust any other parent or any other advisor. You
yes,
call the council, you take the advice, and you take up a call where you can make a decision. Always it is like that. If I speak to Kent Council, they said like the schools would never know. Okay,
hmm,
which school you have kept of the first option. They just know that this kid has applied, and
and
they
they got
go
this much score.
admission. Yeah, they go with their admission policies.
Absolutely.
But saying this, there might be separate different schools which are completely different.
Yeah.
So it's always advised to talk to the school, go to the website, and talk to the council before you fill in the application form.
And the first selection will be the one that is of your choice. That's your
Yes,
favorite one, the top one, which was picked up from
yes,
all your research you have done, and the 11 plus score the child has got. That is a sequence that we are going to follow, isn't it?
yes. Because after
And
everything, some kids can't get into they knew that they don't they did not get the score. They still keep that as the first choice because they don't want to
yeah.
miss it. Yeah, it's
So
up
so
to the, like, if
so
it
so
looks like
parents,
unrealistic that the kid can get into it, but still they keep it as a first choice. But so it's up to the parents who decided whether they wanted
correct.
to keep that school in their list or not.
Correct. So with even with the best intention, if someone is trying to help you to take a logical approach to this, but please don't get confused because there's a straightforward way that the schools are prioritized based on your priority as well. They consider your priority as the key priority of what you have listed. There's no certain logic or algorithm running behind, but they would give you admissions based on the school's policy and your priority. Yeah.
Yes.
And talking about the comprehensive schools now, which means like I think someone asked in the chat as well, but we'll go through that in a minute. So so the comprehensive schools, basically they are the public schools, isn't it, which are for the elementary aged uh, children, which are not the grammar school but the regular secondary schools, isn't it? That's called the comprehensive schools. So should we consider that in
Yeah,
the list?
true. Deepa, actually, compared to some grammar schools, few of the local schools are even better than they're doing really good. But I would suggest you to go to their web, I mean, go and do same research as you do for the grammar school, for the comprehensive schools also. And then you can decide, because some areas, the then the grammar schools, few of these schools are really good.
Right.
So
So,
it's
so how
always
is the
advisable.
priority? So,
Don't
what is
leave
the
it.
priority in which that they should write? For example, there's six in the list, right? That they can
Yeah.
list out. So, you mean to say that if there are certain like three grammar schools that they have listed, they can still list the comprehensive schools in their choice?
Yeah, true. They can keep it like as a last choice. Like if you prefer that, if you don't prefer your child to go to that school and you have other five choices of grammar schools, then there is no harm in keeping it as one of the list. But for Kent, I think, like, even if you don't keep that one of the school as in your list, they could get into, because end of the day, council has to place your school kid, so they would place it
Correct.
in any of the school.
So it's
But it's
better to
always
give.
advisable to keep one of your local school also in the list.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because
Fantastic.
if the council had to take the decision, then it might give it in a different school which is quite far away from
Yeah.
your area. So it's always advisable to keep one local school as well, which is not a grammar school in your list.
Awesome. So that's a very good point to be noted, parents. And so from here, I think that was loads of information download for the parents. I'm sure many would have known most of it. Some are new to it, would have noted it down. And before we get into the question and answers time, I have a quick question for you, Sunita. How is the life in grammar school? And for Ved, yeah?
Yeah, it's fine. Like, it looks like good. He's doing good and he's enjoying it. But
Yes.
definitely it's a different, like a sort of a world for them. Like, all the imaginations now it came into reality. Like,
Yeah.
there for them. So it's good. It's a completely different for the parents as well. Like, you see a completely different kid. Like, he's not in a
So
local school. Like, so
So,
the
so yeah. So is it different from primary? Totally. You mean to say?
completely, yeah. Yeah, primary schools kids were really enjoying, like, one book. Hardly they used to take a book. Now they got a bag full of books, which is completely new for parents to look at. They're holding a book, and the kid as well. They have loads of things to take care of.
So then
Tea,
how do they
type of
handle that
food.
pressure? See, the reason that I also want to ask this question is until their primary school, they are just in their young age. But how do they handle that pressure when they get on to that secondary drive and they're into the school with so many subjects, so many nine new subjects being introduced? So how are they handling the pressure? Where did that strength come from? Do you think this primary school age is a good age to prepare them for that pressure? Because apart from the
Yeah,
academics
yeah.
and this 11 plus journey and the bubble around it, do you think the primary children need some good foundations or some kind of a resilience mm, uh,
Picking
towards
up
their
the food.
approach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. True, that is true. Because when we are concentrating, we concentrate on most on the getting into grammar schools where they're young. So
Yeah.
we mostly go into the subjects like English and Maths, which are the main subjects for grammar school. But I would say, like, prepare them for overall curriculum, overall thing, so that they don't feel completely new or completely something. And when they go to the high classes, they have to go
Yeah.
through in-depth knowledge of each and every subject. If you want them to be prepared for it, and also not just the academical wise, even the emotional wise, it's better we prepare them that in year 6 itself. Of course, the school does a lot in year 6, Deepa. They
Yeah.
would prepare the kids, they could go through and they could do some counseling, because they'll say how the life is going to be in secondary, because it's not going to be the same.
Yes.
Because I remember the teacher talking to Ved and saying, like, it's completely different. Ved, now we are supporting you to do this work. There they give the lectures and they go, and you are the ones who is responsible to note down all the subjects. So at that point, I did not see it, but now I'm seeing it when he brings out the notes and he has written everything, which is completely different for them. Yeah, but the kids should also be prepared for all this. Like, they should be
Okay.
able to do take it.
Fantastic. So parents, please keep in mind the holistic view and the well-being of the child in this journey, because such journeys are too many there'll be too many more journeys in their life, so try to have more holistic approach from now itself, and try your best to keep a balance. And anyway, we Hunarli are here to give you that relaxation approach to your
They
children
need
as well.
academically and emotionally a lot of support from parents as well. I believe so.
Absolutely.
But yes.
Great. Okay. So for the next few minutes, like around 10 minutes now, we will take up the questions. I can see in the chat that, sorry, I can see that the chat was not enabled, but no problem. We are going to take your chat. And for the few questions which you have already asked, I will be going through those questions with you, Sunita, now. But you can please, the chat is available now. It's enabled. You can leave it in the chat as well. Mm, can everyone see the chat? So the first question that I can see in the Q&A is, what is a comprehensive school? Sunita, you with us?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
have all,
I
yeah,
think we just when you said like comprehensive schools are the local school, I think Deepa, which we're
yes,
discussing, like
perfect,
with your local authority schools, which are not grammar schools, of course.
great. Yes, so that's from Aarti. And so we have, what is a catchment by Muaz? So they want to know what is a catchment area. The basic
It's
question,
a
but
distance from your house to school. Like how far is the school from your house?
so
I think all
this,
this concern comes into consideration when there is a tie between the two kids, like in a grammar school ranking. Then the first criteria they would see is the distance from the school to your house. Like
mm-hmm.
how far is the
Okay.
kid from school?
All right. Okay. So that catchment area matters or not will be mentioned in the school. For each school is different.
Yes, it's different in each school in their website. Some school has a open more catchment area like a distance, but some even then you just need to talk to your local parents as well. Some school says it's a 3 miles or 4 miles or 9 miles, but
Hmm.
technically speaking, they might not get the place until like only half mile they might cover it, and later on
Okay.
they might not get. So it's better always to speak to your local authority, local school, that school website, go to their website and see the catchment area, and you can even talk to your school.
Yeah. So remember, parents, that though we are mentioning to talk to the local schools and local authorities, the reason that we are saying is, do not get distracted by the talks all around. That deviates your focus as well. But do consider the dimensions and the topics that we have discussed today. Those are the questions which will help you to what to be considered. So the information that we want you to take up from this webinar is the things that you need to keep in mind before
Yeah.
contacting these authorities.
Yes.
And no
Because
question is a silly question.
when we say it's a catchment, why we say that you have to go and look into the school. End of the day is don't every year they might change it. So if you go and talk to a previous school, a previous parent or anyone, then it might be not a right thing. Like if you they might changed it recently. So it's
Correct.
always good advice to check there.
Absolutely. And a question from Neil, when to check the open days for schools
They are around
normally?
June and July. June and July. Mostly them are in June and July. Some of them might do in May also.
I see. Okay, okay. And one more question about, what is the overall process? Do I need to submit CAP? I'm not sure, CAP, CAP, or is it CAF, CAF form, I think, that they mentioned, for one grammar school and one for local authorities. Yeah, CAF form. So, do they need to submit one for grammar school and one for local authority school?
No. CAF is a common application form. Like you're doing an application form, your secondary school kid. For for the CAF, does not matter whether it is a grammar school or the local authority. It's just your
Hmm.
make like you make an application for the primary school. You are making an application for the secondary school. You don't need to have two separate. As far as I know, it is not two separate application forms. In the same
Right.
one, you will mention one of your local authority school as your choice of school. Like I
Okay.
said, like in the 1 6 to 8 schools, you can keep one of your this school as also in the list.
So they only submitted it to the school. To whom do they submit that form to?
They submit it to the council, Deepa.
They can't
CAF
submit.
is
Okay.
yeah.
So
We
is that
apply to the
right,
council.
parent? And then um, they asked like his area is in Bromley,
Yeah,
and it which has only St. Olives. So what shall he do?
yeah.
So I
See,
mean, should he increase the area of his research, or
yeah,
how does he go
because
about it?
if it's a boy, like, if you have only one option of St. Olives in it, so I would say like St. Olives is completely different because again, that's what I'm saying. The St. Olives does its own exam. So no council is doing any exam for it. Like apart from Kent, or if you see Ilford and Essex, they do a separate. Every council has its own grammar school 11 plus exams,
Yeah.
but few schools do individually, and one St. Olive's is one of them. So it's a completely different exam which the kids write.
Okay.
So that for that one school you'll write one exam, and if you would like to keep more grammar school in option, it's better to have a look in your next choice of area. Like for Broomley, I would say Kent is next choice, but if you would like, you can make them to write the Kent and take a look into the Kent schools which are good for you and your kid,
Okay.
and
So just not to be more specific in one area, but it's always a good idea to look around the county and other
yes,
areas around. Okay.
yes,
Is
always
that okay,
advisable.
Karen?
Just don't.
Yeah. Okay. And are local authorities same as council? When you said like there's a local authority whom we can contact, is it the same as council? Contacting the local
Yes,
council
yes,
number?
local council number. Yes.
Okay, so it's the same local council number. And can, yeah, this is covered. I think, can they apply outside the council?
Yeah,
Can they
they
apply?
are. So you can give any school as your choice within UK. Like we
Hmm.
live in Kent, but we can apply for Barnet schools or Sutton schools. We can make, as
Okay.
long as your kid has given those 11 plus exams and he has gone through it, or because your some school you do an application before the results have come, but at least they should have given the test there. Then you
Yeah,
can keep that school as a choice.
great. Okay. And one more question here, from from a parent, and is the entrance exam common for all grammar schools or different exams for different schools?
Yeah, that's what I was telling
Yeah,
earlier. Like
we just
most
covered
of
that.
the councils, Kent Council does only one for Kent and Sutton does one for Sutton.
Yeah.
Again, saying that, St. Ollis is completely different, though it comes into Kent, but it does its own exam.
Hmm. Okay.
So when you have personal choice of grammar schools, it's always, that's what, when we say that, go and refer to the website. This is what we wanted you to look in the websites, like
Yeah, I think this is the
whether.
right time for me to mention that on our website we have, listed a short list of all the schools, the websites of the schools, and the exam format that they follow. So I can share it now in the chat. Please have a look. That we have put
Yeah.
together a long, lengthy list, but it will help you to go to the school website quickly. What are all the schools in your area, and also the format that the school follows. So that can give an idea that are they following a particular board of exam, or are they having a local school exam.
Yes,
Okay, so
because
then
again, you're
yeah,
saying like every school has their own, but when you go to their website, or when someone say this, it looks like all different things getting into this. But when you go to the website and read the admission policy, you will come across all the points that we discussed in this one single place, like whether it's a catchment area or the sibling priority, or what's your, I mean,
yeah.
when you say 11 plus, what is the pattern? Like there is a GL or SEM or any other patterns that they follow. They give that all information in their websites.
Perfect. And we have like another 2 minutes to finish wind up, but we have some more questions like, where do they get the CAF form? Where do they get it from? Where do they
You need
download
to
it from?
you need to register in your council. Like whatever you have done for the primary, you do the same thing for the secondary. But here
Okay.
you do it for the secondary. That's called a CAF form. CAF is nothing but common application form. CAF. That's it. Common application form for your secondary school.
So you get it from the local authority,
Local
parents.
authority. Yeah, you're just, though, because we are making them to write the grammar schools, we everything looks like a different picture. But end of the day, you are doing an application form to your council saying that my son has to go to the secondary school and your choice of schools. Just like for
Okay.
primary, how you give the things you give for this one.
Right. And so next one is, Related to the same question that we discussed, that if they have only Saint Olives as their choice, so do they just give that one or not? But I think that one we just answered, that there's no
Yes,
room that you
yes,
need to answer, because it's about the child's performance as well, and the cutoffs of the school, the marks that the schools can actually take,
yes,
isn't
true.
it?
Because when you prepare for St. Olives, because it's only one school that you're doing, if you are so confident enough that he can get into it, and that's the only school you have in your locality, then you can keep. Because in St. Olives also you have the local schools, isn't it? If you don't write any other grammar school, are you happy for your child to go for the local schools? If in case he don't get into St. Olives, if he gets, that's finished, then you're happy that your first choice of school he's got. But
Hmm.
then you should keep yourself more open for other schools
Yes.
as well. What
Yeah.
if he does not? That's it. If he gets,
Okay.
everything is well and fine, and we wish that he gets into that school.
Yeah. So they can keep the priority as St. Olives, but
Yes,
it's a good idea to write more exams.
more exams. Or if you have in Bromley, you have the best, like we said, some of the local authority schools are even better than the grammar school. So if you have one of that in your area, then you don't need not go for a grammar, other grammar schools.
Okay. So the form comes at the end. It comes in October next year, September, October time next year, that they need to fill,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes, yeah.
So you
You
have still all
also,
this time.
yes, you see, if you are doing for this year, like imagine like this September your son is going to start, then I mean next September your son is going to start. So you will be doing an application usually in October. So
Hmm.
March 2nd is a national offer day where everyone will come to know that which school they get into. So you still got all these 1 year of time to decide everything if your child is going for the next year.
Okay.
So
So it's
if
not a
you're
good
doing it
idea to just
now,
have one school or one exam. So
yeah,
six to
it's
eight
better
schools, as
always.
we discussed.
Yeah, it's always better to have 6 to 8. I mean, few options more open for yourself.
Fantastic. So we have some more question about, okay, this is not related to the school selections question, but what is the right time to start preparation for kids in year 4, 5, or 6?
Yeah, I would say
5,
year
6.
four is fair enough. Like, year three, year two is people started, but it's a bit more for them to take in everything. But you can
Yeah.
start, don't start it like a structural way of teaching them, as you say, like it's for 11 plus, but you can motivate them, make it a routine of teaching when year three or year two, make it a routine and make them exposed to the more of the education academical wise. But seriously, if you want to start, year four is enough, I think so. But it's again personal choice of the parent and the kid. Like,
Fantastic. Okay. So now I'm going to send a link where we have just put together all the schools and the exam format it has, and the links to each school's website, which is more critical. But what to ask, what to do your research is what you have learned or just gained some more knowledge in this webinar. So I think we have covered most of the questions, and I hope everyone has received the link in the chat as well. The recording of this session also will be available in the same link after, probably later tomorrow. But we have covered most of the questions, Sunita. Thank you so much. Is there any more questions that we take, because we have run out of time now as well? So, any last question that anyone wants to ask? Okay. But that was fantastic, Sunita. And thank you for sharing your experience with us. And though we have you not received? Okay. So let me check again. Sorry. Yes. Please see now. Okay, sorry. Thank you. We have sent the link now. And if you scroll down, you can see the full list and also the recording of the previous webinar that we have done on demystifying the 11 plus. Sorry, we could not have the same teacher with us who had done the demystifying class, but we had someone with the experience of having their child into the 11 plus. And as all of you know, 11 plus is not just the end, but it's the starting of learning much more bigger, much more knowledge for the children, so that they can contribute better to the world with all the knowledge that they have. Do not pressurize them, because we are here at Hunarly to relax them with their interests as well. And okay, so before we conclude, parents, we have the assessment happening today at like 4:30. We are planning for year 4 and 5:30 for year 5. So if anyone is interested in having the assessment for their children, and this is someone who is interested in having the 11 plus coaching with Hunarli, so you can leave in the chat to the panelists if you wish to have an assessment with us. This assessment will be primarily for our teachers to know the strengths and the knowledge gaps for the child. But apart from that, thank you everyone for joining in. A big thank you to Suneetha for being with us this evening and walking through all the questions so patiently. And thank you so much, Suneetha.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepa, for asking me and giving the opportunity to talk and help
No,
all
it's
this
very
journey I've
important
gone
because when
through.
you learn it, it's fantastic. When you learn it, life teaches you, and your child has
Yes.
gone through that phase. And we have tried our
Happy to
best to
share
give
with
this.
parents. Like, actually, I'm really happy to share with the parents as well, because, we have gone through all these process last year. And
Absolutely. We also
sure.
have a Hunarly parent support link, which I'm going to share in the chat now, because this support link will have the parents who have who also have their children into the grammar school. So this is, I'm sharing it in the chat. So parents who are interested can join in, and that is volunteered by the parents who have the children in grammar school already. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a lovely Sunday, rest of the Sunday, and hope to see you all soon again. Thank you everyone. Sorry, what
Thank you.
we are to participate. Oh yeah, I'll leave the chat open now. I'll leave the session open now for next 10 minutes. Please enter into the chat if your children are interested in having coaching with us for the 11 plus and are interested in the assessment which is happening today. 4:30 is for year 4 and 5:30 is for year 5. Yeah, thank you. See you all again.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. We are still available. What details would you like, Satish? Exam details, you mean? So, um, send Swati and Satish, who have messaged us, leave your number. Actually, let us send you a contact number onto which you can. Okay. So, this is the contact number. You can WhatsApp us now and we will send you the details of taking the test. Let us know which year group your child is.